Sister Abel attend the repeat that.
abadi ngolu min alan ko lebe camara ba office jubi kanyen temenna ambale dam wala youth monument al nyawen menna tan wala mu na victime lu min alan ko April 10 11 karam do dini min alan ko man taro soto wala be ila lungo bayni ko April 10 ka ful 11 so bilam 10 samala 11 do bayra benda sungar wala fe ya choose ko pour ye sunte ronke monument to ten tembola e bogole la ten alsi camara ba officiel jubi nam ya bari nga akul ko
So can we please join the queue? Mun nañu join line bi feleneli please. Su ko defé ñepp ñu ma am on time. Wa da nga dem ci line bi.
bari nga na me wona
Marabaku.
bay ay wonu kele ay dor fana dor fay jan ani bi modu ma wolu ci bari ay dor ka nyari feola dia ni salame ni ma ni salam kayala kinya ku yasino bondi ya yana nyanyi ni ka fo si kuma fundan si kuma ona watanda ko itabuna kana tonku kuma fo yemen si ko kodiya mori da se modi ni ban dia ni salame ni ma ni salam kayala nikila na mobe da mobe wala bato masofa ole asabina kiki birinda fe mon manda to besine di malaiko
yeah
kila ne salam kundi ma ne salam kairala kila ne salam kundi ma ne salam kairala Muhammadu kila ne salam bondi afida fly pay yenna nyenyi ninka fosi tuma fondensi pay kumo me wabranda ko ita ko fly pay kana tonku kumo fonye mensi pay kodi kila mo da se mo ni ban kila ni salame kodi ni ma ni salam bayna nikila na mo be da mo e mendu kimboji wala bato masofa wala yasabidaki birinda famulu manda ya to mesine bi malaiko kila nye salam kunti ma nye salam kairala kila nye salam kunti ma nye salam kairala Muhammadu kila nye salam chila kunti ma nye salam kairala kila nye salam kunti ma nye salam kairala ala famale kila bala kanoken siso kabirim beding wala tinte yakan hannim beda oda wala nan kakan akano dolon dan siso to sonke ko wala natena famal dayira dia di salame kuni ma ni salam kairala kila ba mutomolati don timmarin ala la ta kanta bira be ko do pam otumola kafiriya ni bobe kandirin ya kata kurka kasara banari alo masom ai kasara kila ni salame kuni ma ni salam kairala Muhammadu na da duniya dino timmata mundino kono sunna nim farla kimfita nim farlo kono kabula nim bala kimfita ni kamani besalo la ko dunya mita azora dunya ni mima kila ni salame kuni ma ni salam kairala kila la dunya we fi ma jamale ko katu wadu mo sonni data min ko do bay ay wonu kele ay dor fana dor fay kan ani bi mo do ma wolu ci bari mo ay dor da nganya ni seura dia ni salame kuni ma ni salam kairala kinya pu yasino bondi afika fay koy yenna nyenyi ninka fosi kuma fondensi koy kumo ne wabranda ko ita ko kana tonku kumo fonye mensi koy kodi kila mo da se mo ni ban awena jiza maswa me kodi ma ni salam kairala ala famale kila bala kanu ke siso kabirim beding wala tunte yakan hannim beda oda wala nan kakan akano dolon dan siso to sonke ko no wala natena famal dayira dia di salame kuni ma ni salam kairala kila ba mutomolati don timmarin ala la ta kanda dira be ko no otumola kafiriya ni bobe kandirin ya kata kurka kasara banari alo masom ai kasara kila ni salame kuni ma ni salam kairala Muhammadu na da duniya dino timmata mundino kono sunna nim farla dondita nim farlo kono kabula nim bala dondita nim kamani besalo la kodu kila nye salam salam kairala Muhammadu kila nye salam chila Tonyema nye salam kairala Kabilim da ding wala tinte ya kanu Hannim beda oda wala nan ka kanu Akano dolon tam si so to shonke mo kono Wala tena mama da gariana Dia di salame Udini ma di salam kairala Kila ba mo jomolati lantim marim Alala da kanda dira be kokodo pam Otumona kafiria ni bobe kandirin ya kata purunka kasara Bangari alo masom ay kasara Kila ni salame Udini ma ni salam kairala Muhammadu na dunia dino timmata Nindino kono sunna nimfarla gandita Nimfarlo kono kabula nimbala gandita Nikamani basalola ko dunyamita Basola dunyamita dimima ba Kila ni salame Kudini ma ni salam kairala Kila lana dunya wa ifima jamale kwe Katu wadu mawasol mingata mindu kabolu bayi Ayawalu kele idol fana idol Fai janna hani bimo luma wulu chibari muhi
I'm talking to Kamala now.
Anda posso te porta, Fini?
Come on.
Begging up over it. Begging for us. Everybody wants to get up. Where did you get that snack? Me, I don't have. Better what? Better what? Yeah. Come on, maybe you know.
What did they have? What if you don't understand that you come?
Oh, your partner says
it's not even good for
This is nice. You've already succeeded. Yes, are you ready? Go. Right. Hello. I think you have to come by here so that you can have it. You have to be.
Is that fine with you? Oh, I can't see. Yeah.
So this one's happening.
Okay. So I'm advised to speak in all of these mics, so I'll have to stand like this for the rest of the night. We'll get there. So Flex. So my name is 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔, and on behalf of 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏, I'll be helping us to stick to the agenda that I'm holding here. So I will not waste much time. I'd like us to please stand up for the national anthem. Do we have anybody who's going to volunteer to sing the national anthem? I have a very terrible voice, and I'm not sure whether I still know all the words. Okay, I'll try. 3, 2, 1. For the Gambia, our homeland, we strive and walk and pray that all may live in unity, freedom and peace each day. Let justice guide our actions towards a common goal, and join our diverse people to prove man's brotherhood. We pledge our firm allegiance, our promise we renew. Faith, great God of nations, to the Gambia ever true.
I try. Even though you missed one word.
Yeah. So we would like to have another a minute of silence in honor of the victims that passed away. So we'll have a minute of silence for them. Okay, I already started the time, so I'll have to restart it again. Okay. Thank you. So now I would like to invite Auntie Ndogou to come and give the welcome remarks. Please help me in welcoming her to give the welcoming remarks.
Thank you very much, Tija. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Good evening, everybody. We welcome you to this 23rd anniversary of the 2000 student massacre. In April 2000, my first daughter was 6 months old. She's now at university in her final semester. That is how long it has been. A long 23 years of suffering for the families, for the survivors, for the country. And we are here today, not because we can take it away, but to stand in solidarity and to tell them that we are with you to the end. Continue fighting And we wish to thank everybody who's here today, who's in person and in spirit. We thank everybody who's contributed to make this happen. Really, without your presence, this wouldn't be happening. And to the victims, we say, we pray for your courage and for your strength and for your perseverance. And we pray that we are together in supporting you, and for the country as well, and for everybody who has a stake in this. This is all our fight, not just the victims, not just their families. So we are very, very pleased to have you all here and welcome you. How hard has it been? I can only imagine, but we have victims here who will be sharing their stories to tell you how hard it has been for them. And we hope that our presence will give them courage, will give them hope that things will only get better from here. Thank you very much.
Jërëjëf Anisira from Anaket. So we'll have reflections by victims. We'll have 3 victims do some reflections. We started with Seni. Please help me in welcoming Seni to conclude the first presentation. Seni Senor.
Assalamu alaikum. Yesterday and today mark 23 years since April 11, 2000, when we were shot, maimed and tortured by state security officials who sworn to protect us. All we wanted was our voices to be heard for our colleagues who were killed and raped by some security officials who are supposed to protect us as school-going children back then. We expected the government of the day to hear us and do the needful. Instead, the unthinkable happens. The government turned against us and meted out violence against us. Since then, those of us who survived the massacre and our family members of the disease continue to live with physical disabilities, psychological trauma, with a very little support from the government. Our dreams to become doctors, lawyers, and even leaders of this country were dashed away. Starting with our dreams to complete our education, many of us have not been able to complete our studies due to physical disabilities we suffered on that fateful day. And some of us are even confined to wheelchairs and crutches for the rest of our lives. While our bodies continue to deteriorate, we call on the government to prioritize our medical treatment, to alleviate our daily sufferings. Taking note of Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission's report and recommendations, we would like to thank them and the government for funding our upkeep to access medical treatment donated by the Turkish ambassador. However, we must note some of the deficiencies which highlight that enough has not been done. Many of us flown to Turkey did not return with improvement. Some of us continue to deteriorate because the government has neglected us since then. We thank all institutions, individuals who have supported our medical treatment. We know that victims cannot continue to wait for bills to pass by in Parliament to access medical treatment. On this regard, We call on the government to dedicate the finance it has recovered from the sales of former President Jammeh's access over $1 billion of assets sold from the Janneh Commission, and recently $2.65 million U.S. Potomac Manson. These go a long way to pay all reparations payments and invest in urgently needed medical equipment in the Gambia, which can improve the conditions of victims and Gambians. This will ensure more people can access medical treatment in this country instead of abroad. Mr. President, that since you met us in Senegal back in 2017 and promised to alleviate our suffering, and that you were also a victim, you have had only one meeting with the victims for less than an hour. Mr. President, we call on your government and to steadfastly and diligently act on the TRRC recommendations. Mr. President, if your government had committed adequate funds for reparations, there would not even be a conversation about requiring a reparation act or commission to pay for the remaining reparations. A reparation act is needed, but not to finish the work of the TRRC. As such, paying reparations, which it already stated, every victim was given a slip of what they received from the TRRC. The outstanding payments for the government, sadly, Mr. President, the issue is not the lack of funds, but rather failure to prioritize the plight of victims. Simply allocating a reasonable sum from the proceeds of sales of the former president's asset would have gone a long way. Mr. President, we the victim has taken note of the Minister of Justice emoji statement released on the Twitter yesterday. Although your government has accepted all the recommendations relating to the April 10, 11, 2000 victims. However, we are disappointed to inform you that nothing significant has been implemented. Organizations in the Gambia, such as to declare April 10, 11 a school holiday, or to memorialize the tragic day to ensure it never happens again. The longer this continues, then many Gambians will grow up forgetting about this tragic day, which will derail the never again objective. The Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, Tertiary Education, to meet with student bodies annually to discuss issues of concern to them, and setting up official channels of communication to deal with students' complaints in a timely, effective manner. Mr. President, the urgency of these recommendations cannot be overstated. We take note of a recent incident of police still detaining and transporting students to unknown locations. Mr. President, we implore upon you to entrust your government to act on the TRRC recommendation to reinforce the never again mantra before it's too late. These include a proper rebranding of the I-22 to be stripped of the current moral it displays and replaced with more appropriate morals decoration and other artifacts which can be inaugurated by your government. Mr. President, we are aware that the Minister of Justice has dispatched letters to various security institutions to dismiss the adversely mentioned persons. It is not clear to us if these adversely mentioned security persons are still working in the system. We call on the government to provide accurate, timely information on the persons who have been suspended when their suspension was affected. It's quite unfortunate that this government has resorted to passing a bill to ban adversely mentioned person instead of taking the legal process of tabling the TRRC reports and recommendations for debate in Parliament. Finally, Mr. President, we wish to remind you that the former government enacted an Indemnity Act to absolve April 10, 11, 2000 perpetrators. We call on your government to repeal this draconian act and repeal the section of the Public Order Act not in line with democratic norms and values. We cannot continue to include without remembering the names of those diseases as documented in the TRRC: Regina Carroll, Grand Street Banjul, Omar Barrow, Latir-Kunda, a Red Cross volunteer Latir-Kunda German, Modulamin Chun of Serekunda, Lamin B. Barrow of Jambur, Kalisco Pereira of New Juswang, Karamu Barrow of Ibo Town, Modlamin Jai of Ibo Town, Mansari Wuye of Talinding, Kunjang, Burama Baji, 10-year-old boy of Talinding, and an unidentified corpses in the mortuary. 11, Amadou Abdoulaye Jawa, a 3-year-old boy, Usman Sembende, a 3-year-old boy, shot in the head, Usman Nyabali of Kerewan Samba Sira, Seni Nyabali of Dasilame Village, a 12-year-old boy, Bamba Jobate, a military student tortured and detained at the Janjambure prisons, died shortly thereafter. In addition, another 20 people maimed and seriously injured. Some of us who are still alive, with the fortitude to persist after 23 years, have come together to sign this statement on behalf of the deceased, signed by the April 10, 11 victims: Yusuf Ambai, Abdul Karim Jammeh, Abdoulaye Bojang, father of Lamin A. Bojang, Seni Senghor, Omi Jang, Seinabu Kamara, Musa Kanaji, Bakari Njai, Fatou Barrow, daughter of the late Omar Barrow, the Red Cross volunteer. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Seni.
I know that. Speaking is dizzy.
So now I'd like to invite Auntie Marie-Thérèse to give a statement. Auntie Marie-Thérèse, please. Please help me in welcoming Auntie Marie. She's the mother of a victim. I just wanted to acknowledge the presence of the Lord Mayor of KMC, 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏. Thank you for coming through.
Sorry.
Just part of it, bro. No.
We also have the President of the Gambia Bar Association in our midst. Thank you, Mr. Tal, for coming through always. And of course, Honorable Modou Lamine Ba, representative of Banjul North, is also here. Thank you for coming, Honorable. So we'll have Auntie Thérèse give a statement.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marie-Thérèse. a victim of 10 and 11 April. I'm so thankful to be here today to commemorate the day that the children were being massacred. And it really falls on the right day, because it was on a Monday, 10, and Tuesday, 11. But so unfortunately, yesterday was a public holiday, so as well, today is okay. Now, what I wanted to say is that what I do know in a country, you as a citizen, you as a man of law, a man of a uniform, like what the Senegal said, homme de loi. You put on your uniform, a policeman, being a policeman, a fire service, army, just name them. I think what I do know is that you are to protect the Gambians, the people of your motherland, both young and old, and their properties, instead of killing them. And you cannot also hold a gun like AK-47, going out shooting children, small children that are your brothers, your younger brothers, children of your motherland, your brothers, either your neighbor's child, your relative's child, your friend's child. They are being massacred, and you are very happy of doing that. Now, the former government, they did that, but they did not say anything to us. Just as those children that were being killed, or those that are right now disabled, just as if they are animals, they were animals. Even if you shot somebody's animal, you have to apologize. But no one. And in fact, he did not even care for us. Now, we only thank him, we only thank this new government only for one thing, that is setting TRRC for us. Because without TRRC, we will be never known in the Gambia, neither abroad. Because people are still denying that. Then Kotumal, Pastor Nekofi. We are accusing him because he's not around. And that is not true. Because one cannot accuse two will say the same thing, other one will say no. So it's something that happened. But I think if, as Gambians, we are all one. You cannot deny, and some of people, some of young old women, even those that are older than me, they are saying that bahna sinyo pasdenya kayan, which is not done. Now, this government, we only thank him for putting the TRRC, but it's not enough. They still need to do very much more. Because I remember one lady when she was saying that victims are dying. Oh, sorry, victims, yes, some of them are going to sleep. Now, those names that we are being called here, this Carol and others, where are they? Are they still here? No. Now, and we want this government to do what they're supposed to do as early as possible. Because we want him to do what he's supposed to do as early as possible, because dying cannot wait for anybody. I may even fall down today and then lose all what I have to. Yes. And some are here also which need the support very urgently. So what is the government waiting for? What are they waiting for? It has been a long time. Because for me, the truth is, I've never been to vote. This was my first time going to vote, and that is him, the president, this government. Because I was expecting that when the government, this new government, they will at least attend to the victims. We are so many here, so many victims, not only 10 and 11, we are so many. But did he know our places? Did he know our doors? The government did not know even our doors. They don't know victim center. They don't know WAVE. They not know any case, they did not nowhere. And I was thinking that even today, this day like today, they should have been here to at least give us a little courage. But nothing. So we are advising the government to try. And what I have to say is, we are old enough. We soon go to sleep. This Gambia is for you, the youth. That is why I love Halifa Sallah, who always said, you youth have to know. Because when this thing was happening in 10 and 11 April, some of you were not yet born. And you will still be singing, yeah, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒆𝒔. So if not all that happened, I think you will know. To know that when something happens like that, you will stand and fight for your right. These children of Muscat, they are not children, they are the heroes of the Gambia. They are heroes of this Gambia. So I think you youths have to know with your one marble, the president that you're supposed to give. Your one marble. Do not play with this one marble. It is your voice. I've never been to vote, but the time I had a coalition, I said, now let me go. And my one marble have to throw the person away. Because that one, the stem, the branch and the stem, the tree and the branches are all the same. So these branches were doing all this, and the stem did not say anything, means that he is among. Means that he is among. So Yajame was the one among doing every crime in the Gambia. Now, and then we have brought these changes by having this present government. They have to consider us. We want them to consider us, please. And not waste any time, not wasting any time. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, I want to say one thing that is out of history. But I'm about to know that I am a Christian, and we Christians also are here. Even if it is a handful, we want him to give us also, to consider us. Because we also want, this Gambia is not an Islamic state, it's a secular state. We want mosque. As we are having mosque every junction, we also want churches. We know he will not build for us, but let him give us the finance and place to do it. And we are also capable also of having chairs in offices. Our children are clever enough, they are learned. They are clever enough to hold position. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'd like to call on Ms. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 to come and give a statement. Please help me in welcoming 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم maa ngi sant Yàlla bu baax si fekkee bés bu teel bi in year 2000 time bi mu ngi fekk maa ngi nekk xooma nekkuma di lekk nekkuma di naan nekkuma di gis comme sant Yàlla alhamdulilah rabbil alamin alhamdulilah rabbil alamin alhamdulilah rabbil alamin ba Yàlla may ma fekkee bés bi di 23 years anniversary bi maa ngi sant Yàlla bu baax di sant ñu like suma morom yi di leen gërëm di leen ñaanal Yàlla aji jiitu yi tamit maa ngi ñaanal kenn ku nekk yàlla Yàlla xare aljanna Yàlla seeda suuf si seen kaw si barke Yonent bi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. year 2000 April 11 nekk na bés bu xam ne bés bu lëndëm la bés bu tiis la bés bu metti la boo xam ne dereti Gambien yi ñoo tuuru doomi Gambien yi ñoo dee nga xam ne ñu ñoo leen dee fay ñooñu tiim sut ñu tooco ñu xooluñ ndax suñ mag lañ wala suñ rakal lañ wala suñ lii lañ kenn ku nekk mu ngi def lu la neex nekk na bés bu metti si biir Gambia April 10 metti na metti boo xam ne soo koy wax sa ay gënaal ñun ku ñu xool sax suñ la waxee ne ñu ngi am métit war nga koo xam suñ la waxut ne ñu ngi am métit war nga koo xam waaye sant yàlla ba mu bari alhamdulilah rabbil alamin parce que am na ñu xam ne nekkuñ fii pour ñu mun a wax lu leen dal waaye sant yàlla ba ma yàlla mayee ma fekkee at bii ba ma mun a wax lan moo ma dal man maa nekkoon student bu xam ne no name number 3 rek lañ ko doon ooye ndik dañ waxoon ne dama dee yoon xamuñ suma tur benn noos bu ñoo wax anti Fatou ut naa ko at yu bari gisuma ko waaye sant yàlla ba ma yàlla mayee ma gis ko yàlla may na ma gis maire bi xam ne moo ma génnee si métit boobu noonu dañ ma dóor def ma luñ may def ñu takk ma ba ma dëgër ñu saani ma maire boobu nee na mu ne benn demee ba gis na ma ndeysaan fekk fi ma tëdda mu ne lii de moom métti na doomi jàmbur bi dee na ba pare waaye su waajuram yi ñëwee ñu fekk ko fu mu tëdda nii naka la ñoo def ndeysaan ndaw lu daw yaram mu ne mu nekk di génnee buum bi par benn di génnee ba mu egg si suma baat bi mu gis ma nooki bu gudda ma wàccee ñii di wax ne dee na ñii di wax ne deewul ba mu nekk xëccoo si ñoom yi neen ñoom noos yi ñu ngi xëccoo dee na déedéet deewul dee na déedéet deewul noonu la ma yóbbee man yóbbu ma xam naa ne sax suma mag ne moom fi sax camara baax moom mun na maa witness ne 7 days sarax génneel nañ ma ko ñu ne dama dee parce que boobu xamuñ fan laa nekka suma benn sista bu xam ne ñu ne deret du réer Sali Camara always daf dee dem si lopitaan bi mu ne mënut a toog si biir kër gi ñuy wax ne dee naa te man deewuma always daf dee dem si lopitaan bi waaye yàlla mënut koo may ba mu gis ma parce que time boobu kenn mënut maa xaamee ndik yaram bu néewi fépp néewi si suma yaram bi doo dee mun a xool sax kanam bi ba xaamee ko mu nekkoon lu daw yaram te dawut yaram yi ñu ko def waaw ba kooku moo def ba yàlla def mu gis ma mu ne kii de mel na ne ku ma xaamee mu ne si la ñëw mu xool mu gis ma bu xam ne moo nekk suma yaram bi mu ne kii moom la si la oote suñu waa kër ñu ñëw waaye est-ce que Gambia ñu def lu bon noonu nguur bii war naa toog seetaan leen dugal leen waat si biir parlement bi ñu leen di gis def leen fu ñu leen war a def ñu leen di gis ñu ne ñun la ñoo naxaral déedéet mënu ñoo naxaral métti woon na ku seet Papa Ndiaye ndeysaan góori jàmbaar boobu noonu xale bu góor bu mun a ànd ak dooleem di dem di ñëw ñu sut ko ba tey mu ngi toog si pus bi est-ce que ñu def loolu noonu ñu foog ne ñun si seen nguura deewar jooj na mu ngi ñëw nga seet Karim Jammeh di seentin seeni Senghor umi jigéen la xam nga góor mun naa def yene waaye umi jigéen la moom tamit di seen métit la am dañ ko sut si loxo kooku mënut a defara boppam dara lu xam ne jëkkëram defarul ko xam nga ne loolu dafa métti man mii taxaw nii di wax su ma taxawee di wax laameñ bu neex bi nga ne ndeysaan dara dalu ko waaye du lépp lañ mun a wax waaye boo government bi xamee lan la ñoo dund war nañoo dimbale est-ce que su jëloon métit bi yëpp lu ñuy góor yàlla yi yëpp di daj mu jël métit bi ñu teg ko si benn doomam est-ce que du jóg pour mu lijjante ay mbiram dina jóg pour mu lijjante métti na métti boo xam ne depuis bu mu toogee ba léegi ndaw si wax na ko fi léegi nii benn yoon sax try ko pour mu dem victime center foofu fu ñu wax ne foofu la victime yi bokka métti na daw na yaram am na ñu xam ne suñ gisee ne yaa ngee dox dañ lay wane dara nekk di la metti fekk yaa ngee dee nit nañ ñu dimbale ñu pour ñu dem faju xoolal Papa Ndiaye xoolal Umi Diagne seeni Senghor Abdou Karim Jammeh anti Ndogou victime yi dañ bari biir Gambie ñu xam ne ñu ngi feebar te ñu ngi xaar ba ñun ñëpp ñu dee benn déedéet te ñoom ñu ngi lekk ñun suñ xaalis suñ deret la ñoo naan xaalis boobu bu ñoo lekk suñ deret la ñoo naan waaw ndik nit ki soo gisee nga toog fi nga toog nii du moom moo taaj boppam foofu dafa wax ne victime yi su ma toogee dinaa jàppalante ak yéen waaw léegi toog nga ba léegi yow taluloo victime yi ñuy wax ne muñ leen ku xiif mun na nga ne ko raxasul toog dina mën a toog ba ñaata awas sakatuma ñaata years 23 years ñu ngi toog bi nag métti na ku ñu yore mut nag nga bàyyi ñu waaye bu ñu yokkal leneen ñun daal moom dama foog ne mbir bi ay ñaawlaate boo kana si tamit ay ñaawlaate boo kana si parce que yow nga gis ñu xam ne ñoo victime ay xale yi nga ñëw teg ñooñu si kanami lii bi nga ne ñooñu ñooy teg loolu moom war ngeen koo seetaat government bi ñu leen di ñaan li lay war a suuli mais leen ñu am wér gu yaram ku wérut naka nga koy waxee toogal nga xaar benn bu baax rek lañ fi def ñu jigéen bi wax mooy TRRC bi dañ ko indee ngàcce nga laama TRRC def nañ fi du parce que ba léegi bi ëllëg nit ñaa ngee weedi di wax ne amut lii yëpp fen la déedéet man ku ma ko wax dama la dee wax ne bu fekkee sa doom lañ ko def wala saraka doo wax ne fen la waaw loo fekkee wut nag mënuloo koo witness am na ñu xam ne loolu leen waaye TRRC moo tax nit ñi góom ne lii lu am la te lii dëgg la TRRC moo def loolu government bi ñu leen di jërëjëf si loolu waaye waruta em si loolu waaye paper bi ba ngénnee ba léegi ñu ngi wane tey la ëllëg la gannaaw ëllëg la kañ la buñ waxee ne jaay nañ bagage yi ni xaalis bi fii la nekk tey su la waxee lii la ëllëg ñu ne la lii la nañ ñu génnee si leen dem li lay war a suuli ñu xam ne ay doomi jàmbur lañ ay ndaw yi ëllëg te ndaw yi nii yëpp pour xam ne ñoo gaañu nii xamuñ ne président ni si biir ñooñu lañ nekk ñu yaaxas suñ laay fii ba léegi ñoom doy loowuñu ñun daal ñu ngi nii rek ñu ngi nii te ku xam ne amuloo wér bu yaram nooy lijjante li ngay lijjante mënuloo koo lijjante ba pare suñ doom yi ne ñu ngi nii xanaa organisation leen yu xam ne ñoo nekk di jàppale nit ñi si yéen yi xanaa yooyu de ak yeneen nit ñi personnel nit ñu xam ne ñoo nekk di jàppale nit ñi waaye government bi daal dara dafiñ ko fi te at least war nañ ñoo xool seet ñu yërëm ñu parce que doxaat métit ñaata yées yaa ngee dem ak moom di ñëw boo dee ñu ne ndeysaan dee na léegi ñu dee nii naka lañ leen di jàppale soo demee ba xaar nit ki dee doo koy jàppale doo ko mën a jàppale si dara nit ñi daal soxla nañ dimbal ne ñu jàppale li laay war a suuli soxla nañ dimbal ne ñu jàppale li laay war a suuli ndimbal bi yëpp mooy lal ñu xam ne ñu ngi feebar ñu dimbale leen ñu dem faju te du nekkut ébélte nan ilay bil victimes kese victime yaa ngi bari ñu feebar yi bari nañ te dañ leen war a jàppale waaw loolu la waaw maa ngi gërëm tamit comme organisation leen yu xam ñu mel nii Aneket Wheel Wave Fantanka ak ñu xam ne mënuma leen a tudda yëpp ñu leen di gërëm di leen sant personnel passing yi tamit comme lay Kajatu Joba Ama Kajatu Kuyaate man laa gërëm di la sant bu baax ndig moom tamit mu bon try na def na dara si bés bii nii ñu ngi gërëm mais lool bi moom nekk na ko xam ne moom tamit ku ñu consider la waaw moom ñoo jàppale lu bari parce que soo ko koolee wax ko fan bi la mun a jàppale ñun daal lu ñoo ñaan yàlla mooy ngeen dimbale ñu lillaay war a suulu ku ñu mun a jàppale rek te nu ngeen a gaawee emoji nañ def lu nekk ñu puus gaay buñ xaar bay wax ne paper bi dañ koo xaar bay yóbbu ko léegi député bu fekkee député yëpp genn wàlla bi yëpp ànduñ si nag te xam nañ ne ñun dem nañ si léegi député bi dem nañ fa ba ñu waxtaan ak ñoom genn wàlla bi yëpp d'accorduñ si suñ biir ñoom ñëpp bés boobu dañ fa defanta gaay ba mu saf kon loolu dafa war a nekk lu xam ne dañu ci war a jàppale ngeen dem ñu xam ne dañ leen di war a daa si seen office yi nañ leen daa ñu génn fa parce que yeeloowuñ ko nit ki lu mu yeeloowul du ko jox nit ki lu mu yeeloowul du ko jox waaw wax nag neexut waaye dëgg moom nañ ko wax si digga bi rek dee wala dunda waaw parce que ñun dee nañ ba pare suñu reyaatee rek mooy loolu dañu jekkale rek ñun dee nañ ba pare waaw.
jërëjëf Seynabou Camara. So we'll continue with the reflections. We'll have Fatou Barrow come and have a speech. Thank you, Fatou Barrow, please.
Okay. Good evening. I am Fatou Barrow, the daughter of the late Omar Barrow. He was a journalist and a Red Cross volunteer, and I am here to give out a speech on his behalf. Fathers are role models, someone to imitate, admire, respect, be proud of, and boast about, someone to hold you when you cry, someone to talk to and listen to when you're down, someone to learn from, most importantly, someone you share everything that this wonderful life has to offer. That experience was stolen from me when I was only a child, and I'm deeply saddened to stand here and tell you that if my father, Omar, were still alive, I could have had all of this and much more. Omar was a very dedicated worker who cared deeply about his work and the people around him. As demonstrated by many heartwarming stories I've heard about him, it is of course always possible to look back and recall those moments and memories, because my mother always emphasized on how my father's love was very unconditional. He spent many joyful hours doing what he liked thanks to his love for journalism and his voluntary work for the Red Cross. Sadly, he had no idea that while assisting the innocent students who were peacefully protesting, his life would be taken. My mom's perseverance over the years has humbled me, since losing a partner so early in life isn't an easy thing. She had to work 2 jobs to ensure that I had nothing lurking and no one to envy. But despite all of her efforts, my father's love was always missing from me. As I remember back to the periods when I had most of my friends being picked up from school by their fathers, and the occasions when I would watch my cousins playing with their fathers, I can't help but wonder, what if I had the same? As a result, father's love was never more than a fantasy to me. Despite everything, his death taught me that everything is possible if you set your mind to it, and it also taught me to never be scared to do what I love, even if my life depends on it, which is why I am currently studying journalism. A round of applause should be given to each and every victim for standing up for the truth, as you all are the heroes of April 10 and April 11. I therefore address the government and the Honorable Minister of Justice, saying that although the TRLC was intended to provide us with closure, as long as the perpetrators continue to live life as we know it, we, the victims, will never find closure. Several of us experienced significant problems, as some of us lost our family members, some had life-threatening health issues, and some are still confined to wheelchairs. Therefore, Honorable Minister, I'm standing here to let you know that the victims of April 10 and 11 demand closure from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fatou Barrow. And I'd just like to, at this moment, acknowledge the partners that actually come up with this initiative. Part of them is Team 𝒂𝒄𝒒𝒏. Please put your hands together for Team 𝒂𝒄𝒒𝒏. And Anaket is also a partner in this initiative. And Wave. Kanyang, Mr. Farmer here, we thank you. And of course, the Victim Center, the Yellow Initiative, Aisha Jame, and Flag, and also Will, 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏, and of course, Fantanka are also partners in this initiative, and State of Mind. So we'd like to thank all of you for coming together for this commemoration, and so we move on to the next on the agenda. So now we'll have I'd like to thank the victims too, who are here and who are not. We actually thank you all for coming. And please, if you are actually a victim, you can stay back. So we'll have a meeting with you as the partners and the victims after the event. But now we'll have a statement from the National Human Rights Commission. Their representative is 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏, who is the head of the legal department of the NHRC. So please help me in welcoming 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏 to give his statement on behalf of the National Human Rights Commission.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, good evening, everybody. I send you warm greetings from the National Human Rights Commission. My chairperson, Mr. Emmanuel Daniel Juve, was supposed to be here this evening, but unfortunately, due to some other exigencies, he couldn't make it. But nonetheless, he asked me to represent him and to deliver this statement on his behalf. As you may all be aware, the National Human Rights Commission was established as an independent and permanent institution to promote and protect human rights in the Gambia. And the leadership of the Commission, particularly the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, is very much committed to ensuring that the TRRC Never Again mantra is up and running. So we are very much happy to be here this evening to commemorate April 10 and 11 with you. April 10 and 11, 2000, massacre marks a dark day in the Gambian calendar. It was a day when security personnel under the orders of the former head of state, Yahya Jammeh, gunned down about 14 unarmed civilians. 12 were school-going children, demonstrating against the alleged torture and killing of a fellow student by a fire brigade at the Brikama fire station and the rape of a student by the military men. April 10 and 11 was a testing ground for Yahya Jammeh. And once he discovered that he could intimidate Gambians with impunity, he unleashed his brutality on the rest of the population, and that was followed by widespread and systemic human rights abuses, leading to arbitrary arrests and detention, torture, extrajudicial killings, and enforced disappearances. The National Human Rights Commission wishes to urge the government to fully implement the TRRC recommendation, particularly those recommendations relating to April 10 and 11, 2000 incidents, as stated in the government white paper. As we transition from the 22-year dictatorship to democracy, Gambians from all walks of life should clamor for justice and peace and a country governed by the rule of law and due process. We wish to respectfully remind the government of its obligation to respect, protect, and fulfill the fundamental rights and freedoms of everyone in the Gambia, as the National Human Rights Commission is committed to ensuring that a Gambia where everyone enjoys their fundamental rights and freedoms. April 10 and 11 was indeed a very sad event in the history of the Gambia, and we hope that we can collectively work together to ensure never again that we go back to dictatorship. And we also want to reiterate that there must be accountability and there must be justice for all. As we commemorate this very sad day, we want to assure you that the National Human Rights Commission will never let you walk alone. We are with you, bumper to bumper, to ensure that there is accountability and justice for all. I thank you once again and wish you all the best and assure you of our continuous commitment to ensure that the promotion and protection of human rights in the Gambia will continue forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mansour. Alaji Mansour. I think I've left out a couple of names in the acknowledgement, so we'll have to acknowledge. We'd like to acknowledge Chapter 70 and Ndogou, of course, the umbrella body for all NGOs in the Gambia. So now we'll have a statement from the Ministry of Justice, and the representative is 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, who is the Deputy Director for Civil Litigation at the Ministry of Justice. Mr. Ta. Mr. Ta, please. Lights, it's really hard to see anybody coming. Unnecessary.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to tell my auntie that the government is here. We are here with you. Today is too important of a day for the government to be absent. On this same day, 23 years ago, children left their homes going to school. Some left their homes to go to work. Little did they know that they wouldn't return home on those days. April 10th and 11th marked one of the darkest days in our history. Students went out to protest peacefully and ask for their rights, and they were met with a brutal response from the authorities who should have protected them. That was wrong and inexcusable. Today is a day we remember all those victims who died. Today is a day we remember the victims who survived. But today is a day we also remember the parents who lost children, who will never get to hear the innocent voices, innocent laughter of their kids. Today is a day we remember the wives who lost husbands. Today is the day we remember the children who lost parents. Names like Karayo, Pereira, Omar, Lamin, Abdullahi. Those are all victims who lost their lives undeservedly. And today we need to remember them and keep them in our memories forever. As a government, I can assure you of one thing, that all the perpetrators of April 10th and 11th will face justice, without a doubt. The passing of laws like the Indemnity Act cannot protect people from the atrocities they committed, and they shall face justice from the top all the way to the bottom. As a government, it's been a very difficult period for us because we've had to watch in pain as victims went through a lot of suffering. I've had the opportunity to meet with Yusufa. I don't know if Yusufa is here today. Yes, Yusufa is there. And we've gotten to see everything that they're going through. I think during the TRRC, we tried to work with the Turkish government to make sure a lot of the victims got health care in Turkey. But unfortunately, it wasn't all successful. The TRRC also made very positive efforts in providing interim reparations for victims. The government felt that there was a lot of emphasis on financial compensation when the emphasis should have been on a broader spectrum of reparations. Reparations is not compensation. Compensation is an aspect of reparations. Reparations means putting you in the position in which you were, in a position or close to where you were at the time you faced the human rights abuse. The government's view is that reparations has to be comprehensive. For example, the child who couldn't have an education, for example, Omar's daughter, your education should be financed because you didn't have the opportunity to have a further financial education for you. So that is the kind of reparations we are looking at, providing education for children who lost their parents. For a lot of the victims who couldn't go to school because of the physical disabilities, how can the government provide other forms of education, be it tertiary education for you, or also passing that on to the generations after you? How can we provide business startup assistance? How can we provide healthcare? How can we provide psychosocial support? So it goes beyond financial compensation. It has to be sustainable. We have to ensure that the compensation brings you back to the state in which you were before. we've taken a lot of steps, and I understand the frustration with the slowness of the process. But one thing I like to say is I would rather be at the receiving end of your rage. I would rather be at the receiving end of your anger, as far as we take time to make sure that what we do for the victims is permanent and it makes a lasting effect. We've seen that in many countries when they hurried with reparations, it was of no effect, and the very next day the victims were out on the streets asking for more. But we understand that we need to do a lot now because the victims don't have all the time in the world. This week, or last week, on our request, the Ministry of Health set up a 5-man medical panel to look into urgent cases that cannot wait for the Reparations Commission. The Ministry of Justice also made a request to the Ministry of Finance for the allocation of $10 million to this health board, which I think this week or at the latest next week, but we want it to be a commemoration of this April, to start looking into these cases so that we can provide people like Yusufa with the much needed care, be it physiotherapy. I think there's Omijan as well that we were able to get to the hospital over the weekend to see how we can provide her with care for her hand. That is what we want to do in the interim while we wait for the Reparations Commission. But beyond this, we need to make sure we remember April. It's not just April 10th and 11th, but coincidentally, the week is a very sensitive week in our history. We had April 10th and 11th. We had April 14th, on which Solo Sandeng and co were arrested and Solo Sandeng was killed. We have April 16th, on which other people came out to protest and were met with the heavy-handed nature of the security forces. So one of the important things we're trying to do is to set up the memorial sort of committee, the memorialization committee, which will include the victims. And the whole idea is to sit down and come up with an elaborate and comprehensive memorialization strategy. And the idea is that we should be able to have a week where we celebrate, be it a public holiday, or where we have memorial lectures, or where we go into the schools and we talk to the students. But I'm also happy that we've been able to pass the Torture Act, which will ensure that never again will we have torture in the country, and wherever it happens, they are met with an effective response and all the perpetrators face justice. I'm also happy to say immediately the TRRC report came out and the government white paper came out, we immediately took steps to take out every single perpetrator, make sure they were taken out of office, make sure they don't remain in office while we implement. So every single perpetrator that was fingered by the TRRC, especially those who participated in the April 10th and 11th movement, who were still in service, have been removed from service. And I listened, I think it was Lamin, I listened to your statement when you spoke about the law. You know, it's a very sensitive thing that when we are trying to enforce the rights of others, we don't step on the rights of other people, because even perpetrators, as sad as it is, have rights. We do not have any law to ban people from holding public office. So even if this government banned them from holding public office, it would have been a policy decision, which another government can come and reverse. So we need to make sure that once people are banned from holding public office, the ban becomes permanent. That's why we want to put it into law. So thank you very much for coming out. And we hope we could come out together like this in future years, and we remember all our brothers, all our sisters who gave their lives for the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ta. Now we have a poem by Mr. Champion. Our champion is in the building, so we'll have him recite a poem for us. Okay, our champion, come and do your thing. Whether it's a poem, whether it's a reflection, yes.
Actually, let go.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ghana. So, as I know, I'm a poet and I'm a poet. However, I'm here on this stage today to give a brief reflection. I would have really loved to do a poem, of course. But yeah, definitely, as I told you, I don't do any poems. Yeah, but that is how the art is. I think I've been super tight, so much so that I'm not able to rehearse my poems. But yeah, I've done a poem on the Never Again. You can check it on YouTube, 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, Never Again. It's one of my favorite poems, of course, sung by 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏 of the State of Mind. I'm sure you love it. So, being on reflections here has a lot of facets, especially considering my experience with respect to working with the TRRC, first as a youth empowerment officer, and later on as a proofreader. My role in respect to my functions have been to ensure that we bridge the gap between the young people of the Gambia and the TRRC and make young people a center stage of the work of the TRRC. But ahead of that, create the avenue to go around the country from Karen to Koina to inform people of the mandate of the TRRC and the need to promote the Never Again campaign. The experience working with victims and being able to create the avenue for them to be able to be heard at the commission has been a very wonderful experience. Partially because it gave us the opportunity to be exposed to first-hand information and experience as to how much the rights of the victims have been infringed upon, but as well, how much the welfare of young people have been very much neglected in terms of the planned preparations that is there for them, in terms of the reconciliation approaches that is supposed to be there for them, in terms of the approaches in general when it comes to the affairs of the people of this country. Ahead of that, we got the opportunity to proofread statements from victims that have been transcribed. Sometimes you'll be proofreading and you will not even know, you will not even be sure if you were a staff or you were someone that is at the other age to receive the sadness that have been felt by the victims because of how atrocious what has been left onto them have been. But moving on from there, there have been a lot of lessons learned. And out of the many lessons that have been learned is that we cannot leave the issue of the victims entirely in the hands of the state actors. What this means is civil society, youth organization, partners that are involved in transitional justice all must come together to ensure that the victims receive the right support and the laws that have been made to support these processes are implemented, and the laws that are in the making are also passed at the National Assembly. I was very much touched when one of the victims talked about the fact that she doesn't even have hope that, let's say, the reparations bill is going to pass at the National Assembly because of a history of a confrontation during the discussion with the National Assembly members. And this is a big concern because the National Assembly members are the people that are put up there to decide on behalf of the people, especially in matters that have to do with the law. Because they must pass the bill before we can think of a president ascending to it before it becomes law. But my advice is going to be, I think some months ago, ICTJ led an engagement with the victims in various regions alongside Think Your Women, where I was taken alongside to engage with the victims on how they can influence decisions with the National Assembly members, especially in respect to the reparations bill. And I'm going to share the same advice with you all that are here. Most of you are coming, all of you are coming from constituencies. So what that means is you have a National Assembly member representing your constituency. The best sort you can do is to ensure that you engage your National Assembly member directly on the need to support the reparations bill. And you can do this in collaboration with any civil society that is involved in transitional justice. I stand here as well with another cap as Speaker of the National Youth Parliament, and we have our constituency representatives in all the constituencies. You can link us up because we have a very good rapport with the National Assembly members, and we can help in facilitating conversations around this end. We've already kickstarted this in certain constituencies at our own level, and we can definitely do it as well with the victims from the various constituencies. And part of the plans as well is to ensure that we have engagements with the National Assembly members ahead of the consideration of that bill. And what we understand from the lesson of the failure of the passing of the draft constitution was that the National Assembly members were not engaged in a manner in which they were able to have direct interactions with their constituencies and be able to speak the true voice of their constituency. This is something, an approach that we can as well take with the reparations bill to ensure that we assist you, the victims, to have this facilitated conversation with the National Assembly members for them to consider these bills. Aside that, to be able to hold the government to account in terms of how much pace they're taking with respect to the measures that have been suggested to ensure that the victims receive the required support that they need, and ensure that the victims don't continue to lose hope, because from the narratives you understand, most of the victims have already lost hope in the government and the effort that they're doing. But it's just to reiterate to you that it could be slow, but slowly and surely we'll definitely get there. So do not lose hope. We keep praying and hoping for the best, but also ensuring that we do the right thing to keep the government to account, to remind them of their duties, to ensure that you receive the right support as far as reconciliation is concerned, as far as reparations is concerned, as far as accountability, transparency, promotion of fundamental human rights of the Gambian people are concerned. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. Champ. That was not a poem, but it was a great presentation. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 in the crowd. Thank you for coming, sir. And of course, the president of the Gambia Press Union, that's Mohammed MS Amba, is also here with us. So now we'll have as you can see, there's been a lot of organization for this activity to actually happen. So we'll call on the head of the organizing team, who is no other than 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒆𝒔, who's going to give a couple of vote of thanks for people that actually helped to put this together. Please help me in welcoming Flex Dan. Mr. Flex.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm going to take Coke, this is soup. What's on Gambia di Mare? But thank you to everybody, especially the victims. First of all, I'm just going to announcement. Before any victim goes, please, we do have transportation for the victims in particular. Any of the April 10, 2000 victims, please, before you go, make sure you see me so I can point you to the most powerful guy here, the guy with the finance. The reason why I just wanted to highlight this is to thank all the efforts of so many people who have come here to make it happen, but I'll leave that with the closing remarks. I just wanted to acknowledge those who have contributed financially in one way or the other, because they are the real champions who have made it work. I really want to thank Sal Tal, who has been at the forefront of all of this. When I was approached by the victims, the first person I turned to was Mr. Tal, the president of the Gambia Bar Association, and he really rose up to the occasion, not just financially, but with his capacity, his connections, his capability, his determination, and we really thank him for that. Of course, Team 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, my team, tried a lot. We managed to secure the venue. We want to thank Babukar Njai in particular. He's been with the victims for a very long time, and he's really continued to support financially as well, and also with his advice. Fantanka has always been doing an amazing job, especially for the victims, and they came up and they really stood up again for the victims. So we really thank them. Charter 70, some of you may not know them. They do a lot of low-key work on the low, just like the guy behind them. But they are very bright and brilliant and very much committed to this struggle and this cause, and we want to thank them. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏 of Will, everybody knows who 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏 is. and what she has done, especially just listen to the name of our organization, Women in Liberation and Leadership. It tells you everything she stands for. And of course, she stood for the victims today, supported them. I want to thank Uncle Saul Mbenga. Uncle Saul Mbenga. I know wherever he is, his heart is with the victims. These are the people who I've been working with the victims now for a very long time, since 2014, 2015. It's almost going to be 10 years. I've been having a long journey with the victims. And these are the people that I met there. And they are still there. The likes of Uncle Saul Mbenga, his brother, his elder brother, Hussein Mbenga. I'm sure you've seen some of the pictures of the DC guys standing outside Potomac Mansion. And for me, these were my heroes. These were the guys who stood when others couldn't stand. And I can't thank them enough. They continue to support us. When they're not even here, they do that. Anaket, we all know what Anaket is doing, some of the work that almost nobody would be able to. So we thank them as they continue to contribute financially as well. Uncle Madi, everybody knows what Uncle Madi stands for. And Uncle Madi just had to make sure that he supported this initiative. So we really thank Uncle Madi for being there. But Uncle Madi, you have to get out of hibernation, you know. Please, don't let people start saying since after Halifa Sallah debate, you ran away. Please, Madi, come and join. Come back. So I'm pleading to Madi to come back. Abdul Aziz Barrow, some of you may know him, some of you may not know him. He's working in the Victim Center, and he's contributed as well in cash. And we have Ananjai, who is the leader for FLAG, and they also made a contribution. We also received some more contributions throughout the day. Some people don't want to be mentioned. I know once you start this kind of thing, there's no way you will not miss somebody. So I'm trying in between the mobile phone, in between the list that we've scribbled here, to cover everybody that I can. Let's see. Let me migrate onto the list of paper here. We do have a leaflet coming, a glossy leaflet, and you cannot go until you get the leaflet. Is here? Perfect. The leaflet is here, and then we'll be closing soon with the closing remarks. So make sure you grab your leaflet. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒆𝒔, everybody who came in kind, contributed in kind. 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒆𝒔 from the Presidential Alternative Treatment. She brought some foodstuffs for us. Fatoumata Marong, even MOJ came and delivered, and they came and they brought some support, some drinks. I know I'm going to miss a few names. Everybody, every single person who I've missed your name, it's not because I'm doing that intentionally, but I've tried in between Jocelyn trying to organize for this event. We've been trying to also identify and take note. And I know there are a number of people. Anybody there that remembers? Wave. How can I not say wave? What? No. We said wave here a number of times, but we gotta say wave one more time. Yeah. Priscilla? Yeah. So wave, we all know what they stand for. Like women, these wave people really. You know, but I think very soon we've got another wave in town, you know, so they've got a little bit of competition. No, but we thank Wave. They really came up and they contributed so much towards this program. The organizing, talking and just getting ideas as to what to do, bringing the victims, even getting some of the victims here to speak. That was done by Wave. So we really want to thank them as well. Yeah, I know I've missed somebody, some organizations or some people, and I really want to say, State of Mike, yeah, we recognize State of Mike. We thank you so much. DJ Lucky, bless her for coming through and giving this sound system to us at such a very reasonable price, discounted price. When I told him it was the victims, he told me, you know what, you tell me. And I ended up having to just reduce the price just a little bit. But we really thank DJ Lucky and everybody. Aladima actually came up as well to help us to get a lot of all these other things that you see happening here. I know I can't continue any longer. Anybody on this? Rafi, what? I can't imagine that I've forgotten R&A designs. Come on, man. The billboards over there, even the banner that we've got is all by Rafi. He gave us an electronic billboard out there for free, without a penny. You know, Rafi, you go to him and you ask him, and you say it's for the victims, he says, just go ahead. So we want to thank everybody for their support and all of those who came through. I know I'm going to miss a few people and some people are not going to be happy with me, but I apologize in advance. Don't worry. Danako done his job. This is our job. This is what we're meant to do. So I won't thank myself. So I just want to invite my big brother, a mentor, somebody who's been standing for justice from time, Mr. President, as I call him, my president, Mr. President, come through. My other president is here. You're putting me in trouble now.
So, you know, it's a problem when you give journalists a mic. So we keep on going on and on. Assalamu alaikum, good evening. I am really honored, privileged to stand here, to speak on this auspicious and solemn occasion. Today, we're here to commemorate April 10th, 11th. We've heard the reflections of victims. We've been reminded of the horror stories of the darkest period in the history of Gambia, when the state apparatus was weaponized, when the laws were used as instruments of oppression, when the judiciary was used to incarcerate innocent people, and the police and the army beat up, killed, and maimed citizens and non-citizens. April 10th and 11th, a total of 15 young Gambians, students, mainly students, and one volunteer, as well as volunteer journalists, were killed for no reason other than going out to speak up against the brutality that was meted out against their fellow students. Really, it's a very emotional time. I mean, it's very emotional for me as well when I speak about this. So I'll not speak too long. But I will say that it really breaks my heart when I see that many in this country see the issue of victims as not a national issue. Every Gambian has a duty to stand up and speak up for the victims who I would like for survivors of the atrocious regime of Yahya Jammeh. Never again must not only be a hashtag or a slogan or a flag. We must be committed to ensure that as a people, we never again allow any government, any president, any police officer, any army officer to trample on the rights of Gambians. I believe that the fact that we're standing here speaks to the fact that the glass is half full, not half empty. We've seen the presence of the Minister of Justice in the persons of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏, who, when I spoke to him, I spoke to him a day before the event. And look, he came, he brought food, drinks, and spent his time and shared information as to what the government is doing. I know that the victims or survivors don't have a lot of hope, but I would like to tell you that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I just think that the government is not very good at communicating, but there is some progress. Can we have more progress? Yes. Can we do more? Yes. But there's some progress. I mean, there's no amount of money that can compensate for the loss of lives, and for the injuries caused, and for the pain and suffering. But really, I believe that the government should be able to commit significantly more monies, particularly in light of the fact that they have sold assets of the former president, I think to the tune of $1 billion, and recently over $2 million plus in the United States. I think a good amount of that money should be dedicated to the victims. And I keep on saying that political will starts at the top. So I'm calling on President Adama Barrow to visit the victims. We have been saying this over and over again. President Adama Barrow, visit the victims. I think it speaks a lot to the commitment of the state to the plight of the victims. And finally, I would encourage the victims to keep together and stay as a family. We are stronger as a team. If we are divided, this is going to be a long, lonely road ahead. It's going to be a long road full of speed bumps, challenges, and hurdles. And in this process, we must stick together. On that note, I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sartal, who I must say is always available when the need is for him to be available. So we've come to the end of this activity. I would just like to acknowledge a few names that we actually probably left out, or we want to re-acknowledge them, which are Seni Senghor, a victim, Fatou Barrow, also a victim, Senabu Kamara, and Auntie Marie-Therese, and of course Yusufa. Actually, I can't name everybody, but this is really important that anytime that we have activities like this, they leave everything that they do and they come. And even though it's because of them, but it's really important that we acknowledge that they are always in the forefront of the fight for what they deserve. And also, there's Aladi Nyang was here too. I would like to acknowledge him too. And probably just for the closing, we can have a good photo after closing. And then I just like us to probably, you buy hell Lenadal. I'm not looking here one. And it's really important you acknowledge I'm not looking here one. That is one, and it's part of the concerns of the victims. And the other thing is what we can do individually. We heard the stories, but towards victims, so we have an individual responsibility to make sure that in the first place, government will protect them. Make sure that at least you want empathy. So you said you lobby National Assembly members when it comes to passing the recognition bill. I don't think anybody is in the position to want victims who are su fekkee ne dañ feel like ne healthcare la ngay soxla we should advocate for that su fekkee ne dañ feel ne monetary compensation la ngay soxla we should advocate for that so dooleel nit soo ko dimbale da nga ko war a dimbale si kaw lan la bugga so it's really important you understand that we are not in the position to maybe wax lan la ngay war a demand in this process so that being said so ko defee ñu yëpp di def loolu as a reflection if we go home let us think of what we can do so ko defee ñu gars yi am lu yellow so on that note I would like to thank you all for coming and on behalf of Team 𝒂𝒂𝒏 I'm signing out. Thank you.
Visible. Spotlight the long-term impact of injuries sustained by some women, men.
Can we please have a converge here to have a group photo and then the victims morning and after you switch meetings when you are on. Getting in this. Yeah, DJ, don't go one to this.
Acts of torture, cruel, treatment. And as a result, the victims were injured and have since continued to suffer from a disability and or have been left with debilitating health conditions. The victims in this documentary, as well as some of their family members, shed light on why they are the way they are. Some of their conditions are unreasonable. You will walk past a man, woman, or youth without knowing that this is what it is. Students, political opponents, victims of German's witch hunt campaign, and several others narrate their experiences in this documentary. Here are their stories.
I happened to be a victim of the student demonstrations during the second day, that is the 11th of April.
So kumolo sutiakam wolong momo balola iba $1 million le deposit la IEC wato 10,000 no ngaje ko man fair anu saving mo wuli tam wala nyante guarantee la KMC wala nyante ga Banjul what is saving region all total 70,000
bere be funtila amanke ko nga parti kilne to mum purkata parti bele nu payta ka funti ni bele faranga fu ngadi ko be nga fu bari at the end of the day kabirim bita parti dole boycott.
Yusuf, who was a 17-year-old student, was shot during the April 10 and 11 student massacre. Since then, he has been wheelchair bound and to live with his debilitating condition for the past 23 years. Yusufa has since been taken in and out of government-funded treatment programs. All of the treatments have been incomplete.
Yaya Sinjan is the mother of 𝒂𝒂𝒏, who was shot during the April 10 and 11 student massacre in 2000. Hassan was a volunteer at the Red Cross Gambia. When he was helping an injured student, he got shot in the process. He was left there to die, but fortunately for him, a passerby saw him and took him to the hospital mortuary, thinking he was dead. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔, also known as Sambajane, is a victim of the witch hunt campaign orchestrated by Yahya Jammeh in 2009. 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 was on his way to SL when he was ambushed by the witch hunters. In fear of being taken or being beaten, 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔 could not resist.
There is usually a police checkpoint, and before we reached the police checkpoint, we found police and I think paramilitary officers. They mount a checkpoint there where they stand waiting for us. When we arrived, at first they started shooting in the air, like to disperse us from, to disperse the crowd. To, like, as I turned to run, the moment they started shooting, I turned to run. That was when I feel like something struck my leg.
Okay, wokola ngaje ko jamme ba ferelle sit kam pour kasi wala na ni solo sande ngol ngaji be ko manke silo so intapati ngam meeting wati Amad Bala bureau wokono fo nata kambe ko on 14 but peaceful demonstration tel so inate techika ko fon futu da banko e mon futu so yen bulo sitin koma yen wara bala 15 juten yen wara bala 15 juten so yen samba koma so yen lipa so yen nya sitin ko ka abandi sokane yen no kunya ko yen nya tinya ko ne nya ta mon bete so mbije yen ne kiyam ta sokkuran ila fa kan sena no go njay ko wo atul kam mo sena ye ko ya dabi wo ko ko tan dabi but tangoti man sena but they stop my private part. During my school days, I was studying arts. I was doing arts because my aim was to be a lawyer. That was my aim, to study and be a lawyer. And during my school days, I was an active person. I was doing sports. I was playing football and I was playing volley too as well. So because of the victim justice, that's why I didn't complete my schooling. I stopped at grade 10 because I didn't achieve none of my dreams because of my victimization. Life is so hard, so difficult because I'm depending on my family. I'm depending on everything. My family are taking care of me. They are doing everything for me. And my friends, especially the friends I get at the diaspora, they are the one helping me.
Take us mama ganiro. Kuku ni mahali. Nije na ticket kwa madaraja ni big mixi. Never victim of again. Kule kuku mere do bila sikipa hivi saga diwa bila disegi pipa diwa. So gay think lo habi that one lo habi am na ci 12 operation ci ma nekké dara bay lo habi bay gay ñu opéré ko ñu sélam ci nekk tan ci bali ñu génné ko
ko kata fa iko ngi be fa la warange sena betani lañ fenk bay kan sol sena mina belari ya am taté ne sena warange fa ko ite ko alente mutale min diata la ali o kentel eneti ya kena don tenga utan iko ngaite fatiata le iko nge cha mbe falale ko kan fa ko ngandireta ko entenio alal bul atol be min kala bo ke baton te atem fala no ni ala ko be fala bi be fala bani ala ko de fala te fala atol fon do bi ja te keno ite fa inte to dunia.
He was then taken to Fort Bullen for 4 hours and then to Baba Job's home in Koto. He was given a concoction to drink, but he lost consciousness. Upon regaining consciousness, Babach realized that his stomach had been swollen. He had lost pounds of flesh from both of his legs. He had to stay in their custody for 4 days without proper treatment, and then he was left to go home untreated. Upon arriving in his hometown, he was taken to SL Clinic, where he could not be treated, but referred to 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒔.
They just hold me, like 3 of them, and then rushed me to the hospital. That's the SL hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital, I was still conscious. I can still feel, I can hear people talking, but I was definitely feeling a lot of pain and I was losing a lot of blood. I think the last thing that I can remember was he's going to be referred to Banjul.
Ben yon la musa fekke asam pinto dress mune dotu am ni dress no bi ko bi dotu ko to adam gene di fi bi defal asam te bi dam ni ko dress ni ko dotu dress asam ma tok ci la ki metti na ñu rey sa doom metti na ñu fetal sa doom xale bu ndaw dem nekk genn wàll te dara mënuloo wax ne lii la ci nguur gi def wala lii la ci nguur gi wax
waaye nguur gi waxuñ ma dara li mu soxla maa ngi dund yow ji man la boobu dama wax dëgg yàlla boobu parce que boobu dama leen béy nga xam ne dama la am gerte ak dugub dem na ma ci nañu ma daan liggéey juróom-benn nañu ma daan liggéey yëpp bàyyi ma waaye fi mu nii kawar li gën a tudd sax ma jaay naa ma fajoor benn nag yow maa mun jaay naa fajoor loolu moom bët bu set góob daa ne ci man xam nga góob bi faj nañ mu ngi xam nga ñetti jour waaye ñi nga feneen loo xam ne dafa ñëw de mamata soo dem luy woo yu fi bàyyi jàppoon na gën a dem kooku wamee dem luy woo ko yow sa mag bi jàppoon na gën a dem a ñaaye naaje ko mbe sorondi lembe 14 days marko ene ay wo ko na ran sama mai to central prison na karse keje kubi na puru banko se falling nim banko fanta mo se fini nin tol fara bar banko se falling tol dingol le bijani ma marimol wo se banko enjoy but still now wo enjoy manke no the same time gamin kelenu still now ko si fara kana sainte because mol min ya ken tolla wolle be santo wolte ba falan tole reparation kabin tiara ci wato kana fo bi han bi fem manke iba fula atekela.
We were like there for more than 2 months when my condition was getting worse by the day because like here they didn't realize my blood vessels were damaged. Just some like 4 to 5 of my blood vessels that were cut, so the blood was not flowing down my leg, and then around my toes it started developing a gangrene, and then there was like a demarcation line on it, and there was no blood. It started dying, so it's to the extent that all my toes were all gangrene and they were all black.
So we may marry this hobby was sent my X-ray. Through X-ray we them appointment and on course we del what we set possible dugal possible definam bi ni set ko ni nani nasi dañ ko dok motax loxo bi dere daw dox munta daw so fu nekk ni set man dina set ni ma def bu joxal ni appointment ak ay garab waaye still garab yi naan naa ko jeex loxo baa ngi dem di woos di ñëw so mu seet ñu demaat extreme ñu ne loxo baa ngi getting worse because of deret daw naa fi daw mu try mu gën a ma medical report ma dem overseas Germany wala America so ben tey ñu ci loolu loxo bi fu nekk nii dara bu ma ko dem ma def suma ordonnance medical la suma sangoo moom la so fu nekk nii li ma ñaan rek dimbal laa invest lu ma nit mun a dimbalee ma am overseas dem faju loxo bi dama daan def ni nekk dina ñëw wédde ma ngi am fay ñu ma def dara suma loxo.
I was 17 years old. I was still young because I was just in grade 10. I started my grade 10 when I was 17 years old. So obviously, I was still a minor. I could not have taken decisions on my own. Should have been the responsibility of my parents to sign that consent form, but they asked me to do so because I was going for that operation, which I finally did.
Minni aken tolla fa wolle be santo wolte ba falan tolle e ko reparation kabin tiara ci wato kana fo bi han bi fem manke e ba fula atekela because mol minnu keleta e mol wo mo kinole be nyaato.
He calls for urgent remedies for this condition and for the government to take action as promised.
If we come out and protest, maybe they will do something for us. But apart from making anything, just talking without doing any action, they will not do anything for us. We need actions.
At the end, theirs is a call for action, for justice, accountability, and for appropriate measures and timely reparation. Despite calls for reparation, it is indeed evident that no amount of monetary compensations or reparations will make up for some of these conditions which have been meted on these victims.